And we're going to talk about two link bars. In the last video, we talked about a single link bar, and that was cool to see what a single link bar does. But we're going to go a step further this time, and we're going to talk about two link bars. Before it was one, and now it's two. This video might be a few minutes longer than usual, but I'm still going to try and break it down to the smallest nth, and we're going to see if we can still keep it around a 10 or 15 minute video. If we go a little bit longer, it's okay, because it's probably because I remembered stuff along the way that I think is kind of important that we need to talk about in the second part of this series. So one was about single bar, two is about two bar, and the next one will be even better. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. Originally, you saw we did the previous video where we did a single bar, and you watched the arc and how it worked on the differential, or how it moved the differential forward and backwards. So now you're going to build you're going to use two bars, right? Because you're going to start building your four link. Well, if you do equal length bars, upper and lower, which is pretty easy when you have a truck, it makes your design fairly simple, right? You got four parallel bars. You can mount it to the side of your frame on your truck, and you build a good design. All you need is your panhard bar or a Watts link in the back to keep the axle centered. Now, I would like you to, because I'd like you to build your upper bar with a little bit of downward angle at the front. And that is twofold. I mean, there's obviously more, but the two simplest ones is that with the bar down in the front, it gives you a little bit more what they call anti-squat, which helps your traction. And number two, it helps this pinion angle. And what do I mean by that? Check this out. So we got our pinion angle there, and it's pretty simple. We're going to do our little line off of there, so we see that's where we start. That way we always come back to the same spot. We're going to push the rear end up, and look how nice everything stays. It's pretty good. And we're going to say, that one's right there. How cool is that, right? But let's go here. Let's make sure we don't screw up our next push. So we go to the same location, and we can see the difference in having the upper bar in its new location. So we bring it back down, move our bar to a lowered location. That looks really good to me, right? In fact, I'm so excited, I'm gonna switch to a green marker for that. So we're gonna start off here, and we're going to push it up. I'm pushing it up to the line, and look at that. Look at the difference. Same line, so I didn't push it less, but now your pinion has a slight downward angle, right? And it's traveling, it's putting less stress on your drive line. So it's as simple as just moving that forward bar down. And this is how is that? Is that cool? So, you build all four bars the same length, and it works out perfect. Now, the real problem is you can't put four bars like this on every car. So often you have to make your upper bar shorter. And why is that? It's packaging. Let's go take a look at something. We're underneath the car, and sometimes you just can't run all four bars the same length, especially in cars because of packaging. Let's kind of take a look at what I'm talking about here. So, our lower bar is pretty slick, right? There's our lower bar, exact length and everything. That's cool, but I can't put that anywhere else on the car. So you end up going to a shorter upper bar, shorter upper bar because of packaging. Because this is in the way. I mean, we could cut a hole in the floor and pass the bar through the floor, to make another bracket inside. There's a lot of ways around that. But for packaging issues, for most cars, you use a shorter upper bar. So then what you end up doing is you put tabs on the rear end and you swing those back as far as you can because you're trying to get length out of that upper arm. So let's talk about the results of having short upper arms and long lower arms. And just like that, we're back at the board. We saw about packaging issues, so you know you have to go to a shorter upper arm. So we'll take our long arm off, and we, of course, made a short arm, which is cool. We're going to start off the same way we did the last one. We're going to start off with it parallel. You know, because there's a lot of parallel 4-links out there. I've seen them. They don't always have an upward or downward angle on the upper part. So here we are back again, you know, and you can see how nice that looks. But we're going to do the same measurement we did before. We're going to go ahead and show your pinion angle. Then we're going to push it up. That's a good spot, right? We'll show the pinion angle there. And to make sure we don't mess it up, we are going to, you know, show the actual upper range of our push. That way we don't cheat in any way. You know, because I would hate somebody to say, oh, well, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. So, okay, we've got that all location. We're going to move this upper arm to a downward angle. You see we're on our same spot. How cool is that? We're going to push it up to that bar. And there we go. We have better pinion angle, so the rear end is, the drive shaft isn't having to articulate as much. And we went up the same distance, so the drive shaft actually has to move less. So, huge advantage, right? We've created anti-squat, so the car has more traction, and our drive shaft is less stressed, so it's those U-joints aren't having to tweak and move in a further direction. So you're actually reducing the amount of vibration, especially with the horsepower going through it. So how cool is that? Well, this is really going to blow your mind. We're going to go a step further to just show you that links are links. And it doesn't matter. I know we're talking about a rear end here, and we're talking about packaging and having shorter bars and arms. But check this out. We're going to take the rear end off. We don't need no stinking rear end, right? What does that look like to you? Does that look like a front spindle to you? It does to me too. So that's our spindle for the front of your car. You want to know how that works? Check it out. I even got some tires I'm going to put on there. This is the tire. Look at that. It says go fast, don't suck. And you can kind of see at the bottom, we're level. We're going to push it up. And look at that camber curve we get. Do you see that? Look at this. How crazy is that? Whoop. There it is. Camber curve. And we're at this location up here. So we're going to make it pretty simple. That's pretty cool. And that same camber curve was gained because we had the, not really an anti-squat, but we did whatever you want to call it in there. I guess it's a caster curve or camber curve. So if we had arms straight, like a lot of Mustang 2 suspensions, and you pushed it up, okay, this is much less. See, we're in the same spot up here, okay? Okay. Less camber gain. How cool was that? We saw it at the rear end, and then we saw it as a front end. Go fast, don't suck. That is the 2-bar. And the next video, we're going to multiply it again. We'll do 4 bars. We'll talk about how to build your triangulated 4-link or a parallel 4-link. Hope this little video helps. It was fun. And till next time. Next week. Bye.